Today we are going to create a simple composition using Beepbox.co. To start, we need to make sure that we have some options from our preferences checked off. Pause the video now to compare your preferences with mine so that they match. Next, let's look at our instruments and start assigning them roles for our composition. First, we need a melody instrument. The blue channel will be our melody instrument, and we will need to search for a good lead melody instrument by looking through the drop-down menu beside type. I want to make this composition sound like a video game, so I will use sounds under the retro preset category. Let's pick square lead for our first melody instrument. You can test the sound of the instrument by clicking a note in the piano roll screen above the instrument channels. Next, we should add a supporting rhythm instrument for our yellow channel. This instrument will be playing more than one note at a time, so it should be smooth like a keyboard. We will pick triangle wave under retro presets from the type drop-down menu. This will give us a smooth sounding chord instrument for our lead melody. The next instrument that we need is a low bass sound. We can select low notes by using our octave scroll bar that we turned on in the preferences. After selecting the orange instrument channel, we will look for a bass sound for our composition. Let's pick FM bass under the retro presets in the instrument type drop-down menu. The last instrument that we need is the drum set, which is the gray instrument channel below the instruments. We will keep it set as the chip noise setting under instrument type since we are trying to create video game music. Before we start adding notes, let's think about what type of video game music we are going to create. Is it a happy and fun video game, or is it challenging with scary boss battles? We are going to create a song that is supposed to sound sad and slow. We can do this by looking at the right side of the Beepbox screen and looking under song settings. We can click the scale drop-down menu and click easy. The tempo should be set at 100. Do that by sliding the bar or typing directly in the box. Now we can start adding notes for each instrument. I will be copying and pasting the notes from another Beepbox composition. Feel free to pause the video at these times. We are going to start with the bass instrument. Click the orange block with the number 1 inside of it. This means that we are creating pattern 1 of our composition. If we ever use this pattern again, we can just set the block to pattern 1 instead of rewriting it every time. Let's create a pattern between 2 notes for our first pattern block. I am using the notes C and G for this instrument, which are the strongest notes of the C major scale. We can tell that we are using that scale because our song settings are set to key of C. Now let's go to the next instrument, the yellow channel. We are going to create chords by stacking notes on top of each other. I am using the notes C, E flat, and G for the yellow synths because those are the notes of a C minor chord. This will match up well with the bass since the bass is playing 2 of the same notes, which further pushes the key of C minor. You can create some new rhythms for your chord, adding a few notes between the chords. Remember to keep it simple. Our last pitched instrument is the blue channel. We are going to have a bit more freedom in this channel since it is the melody that will be heard above the rest of your instruments. I will create falling patterns that repeat. Now let's create a second pattern by clicking the up arrow inside each pattern block. We will do this with all our pitched instruments. We will use similar patterns compared to the first pattern block, but this time our notes are changing from C to F. That means that our bass is playing F and C, and our chords are F, C, and E flat. Our song settings are set in a way so that any note will sound fine. The key to creating good music is creating simple repeating patterns for each instrument. After you create your new patterns for each instrument, we will create a drum beat for the piece. The drum beat will be the same pattern except for the last pattern block in the loop. Click the gray one, pattern block, and place hits on the first and fifth blocks for the lowest drum. Then for the middle drum, place hits on blocks 3 and 7. Then for the top drum, place 4 hits per block. You can grab the hit to shrink it small enough to fit. For the second pattern block, we need to copy and paste our first pattern block. To do this, we will click the Edit drop-down menu and then Copy Pattern. Then click the gray Pattern 2 block and then click the Edit drop-down menu, then Paste Pattern. We only need to edit the last part of this pattern to create a drum fill. Here is my example of a drum fill. We have now created a basic loop for our composition. The next step would be to add 4 more pattern blocks for each instrument and change them to pattern 3 and 4. You can also add instruments as well to add more texture to your composition.